This time last year, Rick Lazio was on the campaign trail. He was hoping to become New York's next governor. That campaign was cut short after he lost the Republican primary to Carl Palladino, but the former congressman is staying involved in the political scene. He has just launched a new website called Ignite with Rick Lazio, which he describes as an outlet for discussion on important issues. He is joining me here now to explain more about that and to discuss some of the important issues, whatever they may be. Rick Lazio, it's great to see you.
Liz Benjamin, it's great to be on your show.
Welcome back. And this time we don't even have to fight. You don't have to answer any hard questions.
I'm so relaxed. I feel so relaxed being here.
Okay, Mr. Pundit. So welcome aboard. Let us pundit on the news of the day. Of course, top among the headlines is Anthony Weiner. There's been some chatter on the left that he actually didn't have to go. Do you believe that that actually is the case?
No, I mean, there was no doubt when Nancy Pelosi and Steve Israel, who heads up the campaign committee, and also a fellow New Yorker, and the chairwoman of the DNC, all in a coordinated way called for your resignation. And there was the drip, drip, drip of additional information coming out, the use of the House gym. I don't know if underage people were involved. I mean, this was just a absolute meltdown in Anthony Weiner's career, and he violated almost every tenet of public life, you know, including don't lie to the media, especially repeatedly. You know, where was his press agent? Where was his press secretary?
To be fair, though, you know, I mean, he says he did. I mean, to be fair, he lied to them too, right? I mean, to be fair, the first tweet, which came 3 weeks ago now, Memorial Day weekend, it was that picture of his crotch, right? And he was like, "That isn't mine." So he has his guy go out there and lie for him, and just like the rest of us, you know, we're just like, okay, he was hacked. All right, sure.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm sure at some point he thought he would tough this out and that it would all go away, and that if he didn't answer the questions too precisely, he wouldn't create another day's story. It was really bad, either advice or a decision that he made on his part. And either way, you know, he's a very prominent Democratic politician with obviously big ambitions to run for mayor. Was a spokesman on many issues involving you know, key issues at the national level, and he's out. And you know, one of the tenets is these days is don't lie, don't cheat, and don't tweet. You know,
right? So you know what's interesting?
Don't say and do anything that's not going to appear in the papers. I mean, that was when I was in public life. That's you would not want to put in writing anything that you wouldn't feel good about if it appeared on the front page of the New York Times.
Did you catch his resignation speech, such as it was? It was under 5 minutes long. Did you happen to see it?
I saw part of it. A bit of a surreal speech. You know. This is obviously a decision he had hoped he'd never have to make, and like other politicians who have been caught in similar circumstances, most of them try to tough it out for some time or have second thoughts, and in the end, many of them have to go. But here's the difference, you know, between, say, Charlie Rangel, who you could at least argue was at least as offensive in terms of his behavior and how it affected his public conduct, especially as chairman of the Tax Writing Committee of the House of Representatives, and Anthony Weiner. Weiner just didn't make any friends, and whereas Charlie did. And so while leading Democrats were happy to kind of stand with Charlie, I remember Andrew Cuomo coming in and cheering Charlie Rangel on for a fundraiser after he had been censured, you know, in the middle of all this.
Yeah.
Nobody came to Anthony Weiner's defense.
You know,
and,
I gotta
in fact,
say,
it's the opposite.
I don't want to stick the knife in here, and I know you're going to talk to him in a few minutes right after talking to me. But isn't it similar to the Eliot Spitzer experience? I mean, live by the sword and die by the sword, right? I'm just saying no friends. I'm not saying their circumstances.
There's absolutely, in matters like this, and even outside of politics, I think the way you conduct yourself, the way you deal with people, does have a way of turning back on you. Martha Stewart, I always thought, and to some extent, probably had a more aggressive prosecution because people just didn't like her. They thought that she was mistreating people. And so, you know, when you're tough and nasty and you're in people's faces and you're an attack dog, you know, you can't be surprised that if you trip and stumble and make an error, that you're going to have a lot of people gloating and even sticking it back to you.
Well, that is actually something that's never happened to you. I mean, a lot of people have said a lot of things about you, but they never say, Rick Lazio, you know, that's so-and-so. It's always, you know, you're a nice guy. Actually, and that had been to your detriment. But now you are unfettered, and so I want to ask you this question about the state legislature. You know, your fellow Republicans right now are really struggling with whether they should let this gay marriage bill onto the floor. Should they, do you think?
Yeah, they need to let the bill onto the floor for a vote. They need to, I mean, it's on all these issues, once again, it's the end game, right? We don't have proper debates. We don't have proper committee consideration. There's no real deliberation. There's a view from the outside, from the public, that it's all done behind closed doors.
Yeah. And
issues are raised that they don't want to have raised in public. And in fact, these issues are incredibly impactful and will affect our communities for many, many, many years. And they deserve to be debated openly, and they deserve to have an open vote.
Would you vote yes if you were a senator? I mean, you ran on the conservative line.
Right, right. And I always, you know, I'm a long-time supporter going back 15 years of civil unions. I've always thought that if we would have had civil unions, we could have done that probably 10 years ago if people could have compromised just a little bit, and all the rights that people are most concerned about would have been afforded to gay couples.
But they say that that's not the same, right? I mean, the advocates say they want marriage. They want that word, and that's what really sticks in the craw of somebody like Mike Long.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I completely understand. I completely understand both sides. And, you know, in an ideal situation, this would be a referendum, and we'd have the people themselves would be able to vote on it, and we'd have their voice involved. But that's not the case, and the way the process is unfolding in Albany, it invites sort of skepticism about the quality of the decision making and the way these decisions are being made by individual senators. And I think they're better off having these debates out in the public and voting publicly.
But you don't want to tell me how you would vote if you had the opportunity to do so?
Well, no, when I ran for governor, I said I would support extending rights, employment rights, housing rights, and immigrate. That's not the governor's job, but immigration rights to gay couples. But I preferred to do have a civil union. That's what I would have been pushing.
Do you think that it's appropriate for Mike Long, the Conservative Party chairman, to do this line in the sand and say, "This is my litmus test"? I mean, he's your guy, right? He was a close ally of yours.
Yeah, and listen, the Conservative Party there's a Conservative Party because they've got principles, because they're willing to stand on principles, and they don't care about being unpopular for the moment or being yelled at, because they feel like they have got a point of view and they represent a point of view. And to their credit, honestly, they're willing to stand up and stand for something. We may disagree with them on this point or that point, but you've got to respect the fact that they have ideas and principles, and they're willing to go to bat and fight for them. And, you know, there are times when, honestly, the other parties, you can't say the same thing.
Well, unfortunately, we're out of time, but I hope you'll come back, because it's very fun to talk to you. I just want to ask real quickly, are you running for something? Are you ruling yourself out?
I'm running for nothing.
Okay, just checking.
No, this is my time is to help. I want to see young people get involved. Don't get skeptical. Don't get cynical. We've got a lot of old-timers that need to get out of the way. We need to retire them, and we need to get some energy and idealism and people that are going to get the job done for the public, and that's what I want to get behind.
Okay, interesting. Rick Lazio, thanks very much for being here. I appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
Okay, tell Elliot I said hi.
I will.